浮世の風景は幾千年も変わらないというのに、人の世とはこうも白露と泡のように儚い。
我が心を見極めるがいい。
次移して新月が来る。
片付けましょう。
そこやっ
ふっと洗い清めましょう。
贋札と知恵の熱量を生む。
行け。
試練は終わりだ。我が心を見極めるがいい。
満ちて通う月をささ
やっそこ洗い清めましょう。価格守りし先行よ。来たれ。
試練は終わりだ。
裁きの一
助けて たちの隣の部屋に泊まってたのか。誰かいますか？ここで会ってるよね。暗いの、部屋の暗いの。
いないから。
いるじゃないですか。
だからいないって言ってるでしょ。私に構わないで。
嫌です。開けてくれないなら出てきてくれるまでここで待ち続けます。聞きたいことが山ほどあるんです。せめて一つだけ開けてください。
やめて。
そう来なくっちゃ。
座って。言っとくけどお茶やお菓子は出ないから。
Honestly, I prefer her color scheme more than Linnea's. I like the dark, I like the blues, I like the purple eyes.
好奇心って本当に厄介なものね。リンネア、いつか今日は。
そうでしょうか。でも来なかったらもっと早く後悔してたと思います。教えてくれませんか？どうしてあなたの頭には私と。
自分の未来が見え。
じゃ
もちろんリンネア、あなたは物知りだから糖度に。
ビラ、ドモボーイ、レイシー、バルコドラク、スネガビーク。
Okay, I mean, like, Jack Frosts are the
ジャック・フロ
ice.
スト。
Leshies, I believe, are plant, from what I saw. So, because Leshies appear in The Witcher as well. I guess maybe each of those are different elements, but I have no clue how to guess what the other ones are. So if Leshy are plants, so Dendro, Jack Frost, or Cryo. Obviously, we're still missing one of the elements, unless maybe Geo is not considered one. I don't know, like maybe something like golems or something, Earth golems or whatever. Oops, one sec. I'll be right back.
他にも珍しい種族がたくさんいるのよ。例えば伝説のランプのフェイ、魅惑的な歌声を持ったセイレーン、そして私たちアルコノスト。
Oh, I see. So the legendary lantern fae is presumably Flynn, and augury birds, and augury is a means of prediction, I believe. I'm not sure specifically what the actual definition of augury means, but I know it is used um, in like predicting the future and stuff. Oh shit.
我らは災いと喜びを言い当て、過去と未来を見通す。人々は我らを崇め恐れるが、
Oh yeah, no, an augur is the actual physical object. An augur is used for fortune telling. Augury, I think, is the process of doing so.
そんな種族も歌も聞いた。
当然よ。生きているアルコノストなんてあなたと
じゃあ
家族。アルコノストは生まれながらにして特別な能力を持ってるわ。それは
だから予見の鳥なのか。
不思議じゃないわ。人間は星空や地脈、いろんなもの、私たちに見えるのは自分自身の運命だけ。友人に占いを頼まれても世界の未来を憂う運命を見るという体験がどんなものかはもう知ってるでしょ。
あまり気持ちのいいものではありませんでした。高揚感、挫折、苦渋、様々な感情が予見と一緒に心に流れ込んできて、最終的に虚しさだけが残って。希望を胸に目標を定めた瞬間、努力もしないうちにその結果を突きつけられる。
運命に抗って抗って、それが徒労に終わった時。
I always found that to be super weird, right? So, like, her ship sinks, right? She gets a ship, and it sinks. And you're like, okay, that's her fate. She can't change it. Why? I mean, why can't she just not buy the ship, right? Like, there are these things where it's like, okay, but like, how does it stop you from not doing that, right? Like, it's like defying your fate for like, oh, okay, so you have a nautical accident. Okay, well then just go to a landlocked country and never board a ship. Like, how does fate force you to buy that ship, or at least get the ship, right? Because it could be that, oh, okay, well, because you chose not to buy it this time, you actually won the lottery and won the ship in an auction, right? Like maybe the person who bought the ship instead of you instead then goes off and has an auction, and like the first person who orders food at their store or whatever gets the ship, right? Whatever. So I could see how she could get the ship, but again, it's like, but didn't the ship get sunk? Like the idea is, couldn't you just sell the ship immediately, right? Oh, cool, I got the ship, cool. Or tell them give it to the runner-up, or just immediately sell it, right? Like, I find that to be weird, right? It's one of these things where I understand what they're saying, and I understand what she's trying to say, but in the absence of actual, like, attempts, it's really hard to, like, I get where you might be like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to do this thing, but every choice I make, I mean, it's that kind of like, it's like the Oedipus Rex, right? Story of Oedipus Rex. Oedipus is abandoned because his parents, he finds, because it's prophesized that he's going to kill his parents, or kill the father, marry the mother, right? And so the father's like, oh, fuck, and he gets rid of the child, right? And the child is then found and raised by like a hunter or something, and then comes back, goes back to that, like he grows up unaware of it, like unaware that that's his parents, but ends up going to the city where they are, and ends up killing the father and marrying the mother, right? Killing the father and then marrying the mother to solidify his rule, right? And so basically, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because he was abandoned. Like, if they had not tried to abandon him because of that prophecy, chances are it would have played out completely different, right? The only reason he killed his father and married his mother is because he was unaware of who either of them were. He just, they were just there, right? He thought of them as strangers. So if he knew they were his parents and he was raised with love and care, it's very unlikely that he would have killed the father in that situation. But because the prophecy was told, it elicited a reaction, which then led to it happening. So there are those situations where it's like, oh yeah, like because you were aware of the situation, you try to the things you try to do to get around it end up leading you directly into it, right? But there's just like, some things, like, the thing is, like, that's super vague, right? Oh, kill your father, marry your mother, right? Super vague, like it's super vague, like, how does it happen? No clue, right? But for this, it's like, okay, well, for her, like, and I get it, right? Like, it could be that she would not choose, it could be that she likes what she does so much that she would never choose to abandon her dream simply because of the misfortune of that ship and stuff, so it could be that she will still do it, and as long as she keeps chasing the dream, she'll eventually get a boat and it'll crash. So like, my suggestion would be like, oh, well, just completely abandon your dream and do something completely different, right? Then you would never need the boat. Try to change fate that way. So I am curious how that would change, right? Because again, the only reason Oedipus did what he did is because, one, he was unaware of who his parents really were, and I think he might have been unaware of the prophecy as well. But like, this is, if Oedipus was told, oh, by the way, this is what's going to happen, this is your fate, and he saw his fate, right? He's like, hey, you're gonna kill your father, marry your mother, and then he saw a vision of him killing someone and marrying someone else. He'd be like, oh, okay, that must have been my father and mother. Would he have done the same thing, knowing that ahead of time? Probably not. He would have been like, no, I'm not gonna kill that guy. That guy's my real father. And now, it depends, right? Like maybe shit could hit the fan, but he might, at the very least, might not marry his mother. You know, because maybe like the father, you know, finds out, oh shit, that's my son. I gotta kill him before he kills me. And in trying to defend himself, he ended up accidentally killing his father. Hard to say, right? But marriage is, you know, something you would choose to do. But both parties would choose to do, and both parties could just say no. So, hard to say. So for this, it's kind of like. Yeah, I remember Vidofnir saying that. It depends, though. There's so much we don't know about Conria. And, like, the fact of the matter is that, like, it could just be that Vidofnir was powerless in the situation, right? It could be that, you know, by the time he predicted, oh yes, Conria is going to fall, like, it could be that the king was maybe already corrupted by the Abyss, and other people are going to get corrupted by the Abyss. So it's just like, it's really hard to say. You know? Was he unable to change it? Because, you know, he actually was unable to change it? Like, was it because, or like he just wasn't powerful enough, right? Like, as if it was like, you know, like the whatever that guy's name was the king. Is it the Vinster King? But yeah, he was the king. Like, maybe it just was he just didn't have the power to convince the king to stop what he was doing. And it's like, well, then it's not like anything you do. But or maybe, you know, the revolt over the king was what he attempted to do, right? Maybe he's like, oh, hey, Conria is destined to fall. That's why I'm trying to overthrow the king to stop it. But then it fell anyway. But the thing is that when we heard this, it was before that happened, right? Like, they were going after the king, and we ran to Vidofnir's cell to free him, and he said it was too late. You know, so he shouldn't have been aware at the time that, you know, the people who went to kill the king were also corrupted by the Abyss. And also, it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, yeah, but you didn't have the power to overthrow what the king was doing, for one. And then when you tried, you got your eyes scooped out and thrown in a cell, right? And that was your only attempt. Like, that was the only thing you did, and you failed at it. It doesn't mean that you couldn't have done anything else. It means you just didn't do anything else. And there might have been a solution around it. Or maybe if you were aware of what was going to happen earlier, you might have been able to prevent it, but you only ever saw the fate. And that could be it, right? It could be that he was only able to predict it, only able to foresee it, once it was locked in stone. Basically, he was unable to predict the future until it was too late to do anything about it. You know, maybe he wasn't able to predict the future until the king got corrupted by the Abyss. And then the second that happened, or the second it became too late to free the king from the Abyss's control, that's when he started being able to foresee the fall of Conria. So, yeah, hard to say, right? We can't really prove it one way or the other.
運命を見通す力を与えられた者はむしろ心の衰弱を早めてしまうだけなのかもしれない。
And that's why, you know, it may seem... But that's the thing, though, is that, like, yeah, like, and the reason why Vidofnir was unable to do anything is because none of the shit that was happening was under his direct control, right? He wasn't the king. It'd be one thing if he was the king, and he saw the fall of Conria, and he was the guy with all the power to make the changes, but no, he wasn't. Whereas for Linnea, like, whether she buys a boat is 100% up to her, right? Like, she can choose whether or not to do it. Like, it's all up to her. So I do find that kind of weird, where you're like trying to relate the two things. You're trying to be like, oh no, they're the same. It's like, well, no, it's not, because like Rodolphine was unable to change fate because he wasn't the most powerful within the kingdom, and so was unable to do the things he wanted. You know, he wasn't the. He couldn't have just said, "Hey, king, stop," and the king was like, "Okay, I'll stop. I'll give up the abyss." You know, no, he didn't have that power. Whereas Linnea, in theory, has control over her own destiny. Now, to be fair, though, this is her sister saying this, all these things about how she can't change fate, so presumably her sister has tried to change her own fate.
人生の引き、その全てを事前に知っておきながら、ただ見守るしかない。あなたの言う通り、
I mean,
最後に心に残るのは虚無感だけ。
I find this a little doomer. I mean, I get it, right? It's gotta suck knowing every negative thing that's going to happen to you and not being able to change it. But even in that sentence, she says, know every joy and sorrow. So she can see all the happy aspects of herself too. Right? She can see all the fun times. Now, obviously, you know, not every life is full of fun times. So maybe she's just really unlucky and she has a life full of bad times with only a few glimmers of hope. So it's got to be really sucky for her when it's like, oh shit, 90% of my life is boring or bad, and only 10% is good, and I can't do anything to change it. Whereas Linnea seemed pretty cheerful about most things. So, hard to say.
アルコノストは代々そうだった。でも、あなたが生まれた時、私たちの両親はその場しのぎの解決、フェイから遠く離れた地に送り、人の社会で育てればよ。
それで私と取り替えられた子は。
安心して。彼女はあなたとは正反対で、フェイの中でしか生きられない人間だったの。生まれつき人間には治療できない奇病にかかってて、鳥介護にならなければ。父さんと母さんは彼女の命を救い、無事に大人になるまで育て上げたわ。
Oh my god. So Jesus Christ, her parents, so this solidifies her parents as complete trash, right? Because the idea is that, oh, okay, you aren't our biological daughter, but we did raise you for a bunch of time. But regardless, the second we think that you're not our biological daughter, we're going to abandon you, give you $20, and abandon you to look for our real daughter because you don't count. And then you might think, oh, well, they found their real daughter. Maybe after they find their real daughter, they'll go back and say, hey, you know, we found our real daughter. Now we can be a family again. You know, we found our biological daughter. Now we can be a family again. No, they didn't come back to her. They literally abandoned her and just completely forgot about it. Like, just completely ignored her after that. It's like, yep, we have our biological daughter. Fuck the one we raised. It's like, dude, you raised her for years. You didn't grow to love her? You just treated her as a burden the entire time? And even with the fact that your daughter only survived because of the swap, you still don't feel any sort of gratitude towards your adopted daughter, whose adoption made it possible for your biological daughter to live? You didn't feel any sort of desire to maybe go check in on your adopted daughter to see, hey, how's she doing? Maybe we can live together and be a big happy family. No. It's just like there are such pieces of shit. Is that one, they abandoned a child. They abandoned a young child, only giving her a few bucks. Both parents abandoning her, like not just leaving one parent to go look for their biological daughter while leaving one to raise the daughter they've been raising for the past few years. No, they both abandoned her to a likely death, you know, because she's a fucking child. I mean, it's hard to tell. We don't know specifically when she was abandoned, but I mean, it was her herself who brought up the idea that she was a changeling. So one would assume it's not too super young, right? One would assume it's not like 5 years old or something. It'd probably be like between 8 and 10, maybe, you know, after you start to grow up and realize you might be more different than others, right? So it's like you live with these people for 8 to 10 years, and the second they hear from the daughter themselves that she might be a changeling, you're like, well, I've never heard of that before. I've only heard of it in legend. But if our child daughter says this, then it must be true. So we're just gonna, with no proof whatsoever, we're going to abandon you. And then even when we find our biological daughter, we'll still not care about you. It's like, Jesus Christ, what absolutely trash parents. Okay, so. Yeah, I mean, I guess, so maybe this is the way to help her, is that if she grows up without her prediction. So I guess, yeah, if for these augury birds, if they awaken prediction super early, it might affect their emotional development, and therefore just make them less able to have dreams and stuff like that. Because if you know everything's going to happen, you might not even develop the dream that you would let you predict you're going to have, right? Like if you want to be, I mean, she sounds like she wants to be a biologist or an archaeologist or something to investigate animals, a zoologist perhaps. So it sounds like that's what she wants to do with her life. So it's like, okay, but maybe if you were born and you had your prophecy powers already awakened, maybe you wouldn't want to do that, right? Maybe you wouldn't, maybe if you had already woken prediction, like maybe you awaken your prediction before you even start to have aspirations and dreams. And so before you even start to develop those things, you already foresee how successful or unsuccessful you would be, which could then, crush that dream in its infancy. Right? You might be like, oh, well, I don't really need to have that dream anymore because I lived my life, like even if it's purely successful, right? Even if it's like she becomes a great zoologist, right? If at the age of 5, she sees her successful zoologist career, she might just be like, well, I don't really need to do that anymore. I lived my life doing that, and I remember what happened during that, so I don't really feel the need to do it anymore because I've done it, right? And that's assuming success. Obviously, if it's unsuccessful, then that could also be kind of shit. So maybe just effectively just kind of like fucks over their emotions because they never really feel any desire to do things because they've already done it in their future. Whereas for her, because it was delayed, she was able to develop these emotions and feelings and then got her powers. And so now she has the emotional depth to be able to handle this situation. It's hard to say, honestly. Oh, of course she's gonna. I know why. I bet she's jealous. I bet she's jealous that she lived a nice, carefree life. I bet she's jealous she lived a nice, carefree life. Because remember, the time she overheard her, she was really only telling about all the good things that happened. But then afterwards, when we were not in that restaurant, she did actually mention that there were a lot of sad times as well. And she just didn't kind of mention them before, but there were a lot of times where she felt lonely or alone. Oh, well, she guessed right.
その通りよ。父さんと母さんがあなたを人間の世界へ送ることを思いついたとき、私はすでに両親は時々こっそりなどくらいに来ては遠くからあなたを見守り、一度私も一緒になどくらいに来て無邪気にはしゃぐあなたを遠く、誰も私の気持ちなんか考えてくれなかったわ。私は言った。暗いの。だからずっと前から考えてたの。あなたが大人になったら会いに行こうって。
See, this is what I find weird, right? All this that led me to deciding. It's like, what do you mean led you to deciding? Wasn't your whole thing that everything is locked in place? like everything is decided by fate. You should have already foreseen you were going to do this. But yeah, like it is kind of interesting. You talk about deciding, but then also bemoan your fate that you lack the ability to decide stuff because everything's fated. Although maybe their prediction only predicts like key points. So maybe it is just like, oh, here are the highlights of your life. Here's the big things you do with your life, the big events of your life, but all the stuff in between is not really described.
ひどいでしょ。
But also, it is kind of weird, right? Because even in her vision, right? In her vision of everything, she met her sister in the future, right? So she got her boat. Her boat crashed. She ended up chatting with her sister beyond that. So it's like, if that's in her life, then wouldn't it also be in her sister's life? So wouldn't her sister see that even though she comes in and tries to ruin her life by revealing the secret and all that bullshit, wouldn't she see that in the future she still hangs out with her sister?
だったらどうして話してくれないなら。
私の目に映ってた幸せそうなあなたも、両親に愛され、スペランザであなたが過去の話をしてるのを聞いてたの。人間らしく振る舞おうと必死だ。何でもないことのようにあなたは話してたわね。でも、あなたが辛い思いをしてたなんて知りたくなかった。これじゃ恨むことも嫉妬すること。
お姉ちゃん。悪役失格ですね。先に泣かれちゃったら私が慰めなきゃいけないじゃないですか。でも気持ちはわかります。私の家族ってどんなだろうってずっと想像してたんです。
Yeah, like, are their parents still alive?
こうして会いに来てくれて。
The sister, I mean, she's not super old. Although, and I would assume their lifespans are not like super short either, because she gets a job, gets a ship, crashes the ship, and then has a little chat with her sister. Now it is super weird that both of them look identical to they do now, where it's like, well, like it's unlikely that she'd be able to afford a ship sometime within the next 10 years. And then let alone crash it, right? So it would take a while to buy a ship. So it's like, and then like that's like something she did as part of her journey. So it's like you assume that she would have done that much later. So like when she's chatting with her sister after a ship crash, it would be like 10 plus years later. Yeah, they look identical. So it does beg the question of, is it just that they look young forever until they just die? Like, did they die looking young? And they grow up to an adult age and then just look that age for the rest of their life but still live a normal human lifespan? Or is it just the fact that because this is an anime cel-shaded game, drawing signs of age between 20 and 30 is pretty much non-existent, and you have to get super old before you actually start drawing visible wrinkles on their face for some of the old people they do, so they don't even bother? So she was able to empathize with her even then, because like we were told later by her that even though she talked about it, even though she talked about it like that, she still actually was. It wasn't as nice as she made it out to seem, and there were actually a lot of negatives as well. And her sister was able to her sister was able to intuit that it was not as good as she made it seem anyway.
どういたしましてだぞ。その、おいらはその通りです。
But yeah, like,
こんなに嬉しい気持ち。
like that like I'm curious if her parents are still alive.
お姉ちゃんはどうやってブレードライノと仲良くなったんですか？
以前、あなたを見に来た時に出会ったの。あの頃はこの子もまだ小さくて、親ともはぐれちゃってたから、しばらくこれも運命の出会いってやつかしら。これから迎える私の勝利と同じ。
And that's the interesting thing, right? I suppose our friendship is preordained. Like, don't you predict your own futures perfectly? Like, how do you suppose it's preordained? You shouldn't be 100% certain? So again, I think this is their predictions are kind of like their broad strokes of fate, and it's also the kind of thing where maybe it isn't as preordained as they think, right? Like maybe it's one of those things that if you do change it, their vision in the past changes too, right? So maybe if they change it in the future, she either is just no longer able to remember it, right? Because like there's the idea that there's two ways of doing it, right? Where it's like you either spawn a completely new reality, or you force the existing reality to change around it. So it's like even if you change the future and go back, then everyone thinks that that's what or if you change the past and then go back to the future, everything will be different because that change forced a change in the current timeline. There's also the idea that you created two different timelines and stuff like that. Like Back to the Future, it's hard to tell actually which way they went, because it seemed like from all intents and purposes it's all one timeline. But like when Biff brought the sports almanac back, they showed two timelines, right? They showed Marty's original timeline and then the new branching off one where Biff got the sports almanac and made a fuckload of money. So it's like, yes, you could argue that they're two separate universes, but then but Marty's machine is only able to go forward along the current universe, right? So it could have been that it branched, but he's unable to go back down to the original branch where he didn't do that, and he's only able to continue on the current one. Hard to say.
遠くへ逃げて次の試合を放棄するという選択。あなたも真っ向から私を倒す自分を想像することはできるはずよ。
Oh, let's
私たちの予見
see.
は
She beat
本質的には一種
she
の
beat
収束
her
なの。
sister, right? Oh, is it that we're gonna
道はい
win?
くつもあるけど、
Is that
たどり
it?
着く場所は一つだ
She
け。
she predicted that she's gonna win, right? And so are we gonna beat her in the finals? And she's gonna be like, "Oh, you beat fate."
運命を見ることの苦しさや辛さは、
私は運命に従い、すべてを黙って結果が変えられないのなら、家庭に意味はない。リンネア、
そうですね。話の続きはい
いわ。
大丈夫ですよ、お姉ちゃん。それじゃあまた会場で。もう遅いですし、今日はそれぞれ帰って休みましょう。君たちはフラッグシップに泊まってるんですよね。私は先に帰りますね。また会いましょう。今日は付き合って。旅人、もう寝たか？オイラムだ。明日はリンネアとクライドの試合だけじゃなくて、
Wait, what? We did our semifinal match. We did our quarterfinal match. We did two matches, the first of which was the quarterfinals. The second one had to have been the semifinals. That's how quarterfinals work. Is that everyone in the quarterfinals then goes, and the winners go into the semifinals, and then the winners in the semifinals go to the finals. We started that with our quarterfinals, and then did a second match after that. I think. Didn't we? Thought we did two. Thought we started. It's like, wasn't the Milani fight after our quarterfinal fight? We did our quarterfinal one first, and then we did Milani. So I assume that should have been our semifinal. That's why I was surprised where Linnea wasn't in our semifinals, because I'm like, didn't we meet her after we did like our semifinal fights? Or how is she not even at our quarterfinal? But I was like, well, maybe we did our two fights early, and she hasn't done her two fights. I guess, yeah, this would have been better if I had done this all in one go. The fact that I took a break in between this quest and got distracted with other things makes... I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure the previous day we did a quarterfinal match first. Oh wait, no, did we lose? I thought she lost. I thought Linnea lost, didn't she? Yeah, I don't think we fought. Or did we see her beat someone, other person? I thought she beat Lumi, though.
はい。今、ルミと作戦会議をしてたとこなんです。
Wait. Okay, now I'm confused. I'm gonna have to actually go back to my own VOD. I could have sworn that she lost. Lumi fought. I thought she and her sister fought, and she lost. So how is she still in the railing?
柔軟に牽制して勝機を見つけ出す。今のところこれが最善策
We
です。
saw her fight against someone. I thought it was against Lumi. I don't think it was against us, because I think we did 2 matches. I know I got fucked. I did a normal one, and then I fought Milani, I think, for the second one.
ですが、お姉ちゃん
And then I thought we saw Linnea talk to someone.
たとえ弱点を
We talked to Linnea, and she did her fight, and her fight was against her sister. That's what I thought. Wasn't it?
何かありがとうございます。運命。他の人の口から。
Well, and that's the thing, too. And that's why it doesn't tell you specifically what you did. It just tells you what happened. You know, oh, you predicted the future that you lost. That's the future, right? The future that you lost, but you don't know how you lost, so you can't, like, make changes on that. You just see, oh, I lost, therefore, you know. But if it's like, you know, it's like doing a test, right? It's like predicting that you failed a test doesn't, and that's all you predict, just that you failed the test, doesn't really help you, right? Like, I mean, it does let you know if you predict it early enough that you can do more studying to change it, but you can't use the prediction itself to cheat in it directly. But if you predict what answers you give, and then that you failed the test with those answers, you now know these answers won't work, right? I need to pick other answers. So even if it's multiple choice, now even that's not going to perfectly help you because you only rule out one of the answers. Like, assuming that you find, like, you predict what answers you gave that you failed the test and which ones you got wrong, then you can then know which you got right and change the answers for the ones you got wrong. But if you're still going to guess, you go from a 1 in 4 chance of guessing it right to 1 in 3 because you ruled out one of the 4 answers. But if all you know is, oh, we failed the test, like if the day before you take the test, you predict that you fail it, you don't really have much to go off of. It's not super helpful. Like for this one, it's like, okay, they do this set of actions in a row, so these are the perfect counters for those set of actions. You could cheat that way.
ちょっと考えさせてください。例えば、子供の頃の私にとっての最大の苦痛は未知でした。両親に真実を伝えたらどうなるのかということ。
I find it absolutely crazy how we're just glossing over the fact that how much of a piece of shit her adopted parents are. Like, I didn't know where to go, and they left. How is no one criticizing her parents? How is no one criticizing... Like, her birth parents did this to try to have her live a better life. And also, in the process, save a human child. You know, birth parents for the win, right? The adopted parents are complete trash human beings who raise a child for over, for like 8 years or something, and the second that child suggests that they might be a changeling with no definitive proof, you instantly abandon them to look for your real daughter. Both of you abandon a tiny child that you had been raising for years. You just instantly drop her like a sack of bricks and run away looking for your real child. And then even after you find that child, you still don't go back and, you go back to that daughter that you raised for that many years, right? You still leave her alone. It's just such trash behavior. And I can't believe that we're not, like, no one's criticized them for how douchey they are.
その祈りは誰にも届かなかったんですけどね。かつて未知に対する恐怖を味わった私は、今は今で知ってしまうことの悩みができました。 終わりひひますます仲良くなよしできることは全部やり運命に立ち向かうのみです
Oh, what the fuck? Oh, did I accidentally move it? Yeah, what the... So it's supposed to be between 8 and 12. I have no clue why it automatically set it for 12:30 or 12:19. Like, why didn't it select... Why did it go further beyond? Unless I was holding the joystick down and it continued scrolling, maybe?
もう一方はビリアナと相棒ゴリニッシュです。
Man, she is white.
頑張れよアグアラ。
Oh, cool. We don't even have to do it. Nice. So the question, I mean, okay. So the best story. Actually, that's a toughie, right? Like, obviously, the better story would be Linnea winning against her sister. So her sister, even though she's fated to win, but the fact is, winning against her in the semifinals is not really impactful, right? What would make a more impactful story is that if her sister beats Linnea, further reaffirming that yes, it's fated that she's going to win, right? And then she loses to us, right? Because obviously we're going to win, right? We just won that semifinals. So now we're going in the finals. So we are the finals match. So it would make more sense if Linnea loses, further solidifying her prediction powers, which could then us beating her sister would then be a huge upset. Because it's like, wait a minute, what? Like, I predicted I would win this entire thing. You broke fate. Whereas, like, if Linnea wins, like, they haven't, like, really, locked it in, right? Sure, she predicted she would win, but losing against Linnea, I mean, it would also make sense if both could predict the future. They would counterbalance each other, and then we could have a heartfelt Linnea versus me in the finals. But whatever.
ご覧の通り、両名の一方はリンネアと相棒のルミ。
Yeah, I could have. Oh wait, what? Oh, she's not. Wait, what? This is. Wait, who was that random kid then? Was that random kid just cheering? I could have sworn you just showed some random little kid. I thought the random little kid was. Oh wait, no, that's the fight. I remember the fight that we saw was against the lightning thing. I thought we saw another fight. Or is that? Nah, that's just gonna get back up. You can do it. Oh, right, maybe not. Or is she gonna get souped up and powerful or whatever? Oh, is this how she met her? I'm kind of curious. What is that bag? First of all, you're in a ruin. Where the fuck did the bag come from? And what is it trying to represent, right? That blue thing, is it trying to pretend to be a Sealy? Is that what it is? Is it gonna wake up and she's gonna feed it like rocks and it's gonna become super Lumi? Is this what the ultimate is?
私たちよ。
She's gonna knock herself out. Probably not a draw, right? Oh no, is it a week? Oh, she's gonna lose because she does. I see. But I mean, it does cement the prediction, though, right? Because she probably would have won if she let that happen. So she was predicting that she was going to win, but if she didn't know how she was going to win, this could have always been predicted to happen, and it was predicted that she would stop Lumi at the last second.
でも岩元素を吸収したらリンネア無事か旅人パイもルミが他のジャックフロストと違う理由が分かりました。
Oh, that's what she's supposed to be. Oh, I see. So that's what the picture was. The picture was a Jack Frost, not a Sealy. So I guess other Jack Frost look like that blue thing, which makes sense because cryo, right? So it was a Jack Frost that was, rather than cryo, was imbued with Geo, a Geo Frost, or a Jack Geo.
ルミは生まれつき他の子と違うわけじゃなくて食習慣の影響でビシャップと同じです。異なる元素のビシャップは外見
Dude, that's very true. Bishops are actually a good example of that.
つまりルミ本当の仲間が欲しいならこれに気づけたのもルミがいつも
Well, it's also like stupid, too. You just gotta find a Jack Frost that's like you. It's like, no, you could just befriend Jack Frost, right? Like, you don't have to find someone that's like you. You can find an original, like a normal Jack Frost and befriend them. Like you can't. It's not like you can only be friends with people who are very, very much like you. You know, it's not like you can only have friends with people of your own race. It's like you can have friends with whoever you want, right?
リンネア
So the question is she going to give up, right? Is she going to forfeit? In which case, then we would just win by default.
お姉ちゃんもヘルメスも
だとしてもハンマーが振り下ろされる瞬間見えてたはず危機への恐怖が錯覚を生んだのそれといやどうでもいい
Well, what do you mean? Oh, I see. Yes. It growing huge was cheating fate, but then she brought fate back in line. But then, that's the thing, is it's not cheating fate, right? I mean, the thing is, yeah, she briefly went blank, so it's like, yes, it could have been fear, right? She blacked out briefly because of fear. Or it could be that the fate did disappear briefly. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, you predicted this would happen, and it did happen, so, you know, whatever.
お姉ちゃん
Like, fate,
何を考えてるんですか
all this fate stuff is really, really hard to understand, because, like, especially in a story like this, because it's like you write whatever the fuck you want, right? And make it
た
happen.
だ3年に思っただけよあなたは違う道をたどっても行きつ
試合が終わったらお姉ちゃんの質問に
ええ
お姉ちゃんは道はいくつもあるけどたどり着く場所は一つだけっていつかは運命に
Yeah, exactly. So that was the whole thing. Is if this fate only paints the broad strokes of her life, then the details are up to her. How she accomplishes those things are up to her. It just makes it kind of
大事なんです
confusing because her sister said, "Oh, I predicted I would win," and then it went blank. Like, how did you predict you would win? Right? Did you predict how you would win, or you just predict that you would win? Did you just see a still frame shot or a brief 10 seconds of you accepting the award for winning, and that's all that your prediction could see?
お姉ちゃんとの試合で負けることが決まっていても買った船がいつか沈むとしてもその船で結果だけを気にするなら死は 誰もが予見できる私の気持ち、私の考え。
And the idea, of course, is that, like, if you know that your ship is going to crash and you know where it's going to crash, then, you know, you could try to do something to prevent it, right? You could be like, okay, well, because, like, if you crashed because of some bullshit, it's like, oh shit, like, the maps of the zone didn't properly show how shallow the beaches were, or how shallow the water was. So when I tried to take my ship through it, I hit a rock or hit a reef or something and fucked over my ship. Well, now that you know that, chances are you're not going to do it again, right? You know, so that's why it makes it kind of. I always find this whole like talk about fate to be silly, because obviously, you know, you hear about it in like stories and books and stuff like that. But like it's a story and it's a book, which means it's written, which means it was written to happen that way. Like this story is written to happen this way, so it's just like, well, you can't really prove anything, right?
リンネア、知らないって幸せね。
どれだけ不安でも目の前の生活、そうでしょうか。でも
初めて会った時、その楽観的な性格を裏でもあなたは運命を見て私は最初から間違ってたのかもしれない。
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? The reason why she's so negative is because this affected you at an early age. It just affected your emotional growth. It's you never needed to cope with failure because you just gave up, essentially. You said, oh well, I can't change. Like, I've predicted these failures to happen. I can't change anything about these failures. So you're not really coping with failure. You've just kind of given up on failure. You're not super dissatisfied. Because, like, by her own admission, she predicted she would win, right? What if you never showed up? Just don't show up. No one forced you to show up. You chose to come here, thus fulfilling your own thing. Like, you could have stayed at home for this entire week and not shown up for the thing. Like, duh. You could have, you know, like, so many things you could have done. Like, there's so many other options other than coming here. Like, even if it's like, oh, I stayed at home, but then my house collapsed, and so I had to leave my home. It's like, okay, well then, go north. Go literally any other direction but here. You know, like, it's not. And you could argue, oh, well, no matter what she tries, no matter what direction she goes, like, she tries to board a ship going west, and it then crash lands here. Like, even if, no matter how she tries to leave, everything gets waylaid and ends up getting crash landed in Nod Cry, you could simply just not join the tournament. You could choose not to join the tournament. Like, even if fates force you to this location, because no matter how you try to do nothing or leave, it brings you back here. At the end of the day, fate can't force you to sign up for the competition. You will make a choice at some point. Now, it could be like someone complains and whines, oh my god, I can't join the competition, now I can't win. And so you feel guilty and sorry for them, so you said, oh, I'll join in your stead and win for you, you know? That's still your choice. Even if you're being guilt-tripped or whatever like that, you know, you still chose to help them.
なんだか私の方が得したみたいですね。勝利の栄光は一旦お姉ちゃんに預
こんなおちびちゃんに
私たちは強い。行きましょう。今度は私がそういえばアグワラの故郷はナタなんですよね。
Oh wow, so it's
それならやっぱりナタで特訓した方がいいと思います。
oh actually I'm kind of curious, are we going to keep the little one, or is this training going to like buff it up to a normal sized Tripletosaur? But I'm not going to do that right now. I am going to pop into here. As I've been doing this for a bit, it's about time to stop. So that is interesting. You know, like, that's what's tough about fate, right? Because like, all we can know is what happens. We can't know about what doesn't happen. We can't know about what could have happened. Like, even if like, these people are, oh, this is what's going to happen, like, these people are the ones that could actually fuck around with fate and try to do things differently, right? Because they know what is predicted to happen, and so they could try to thwart it. So, now, obviously, like, they know that too. And so the fact that they are so defeatist about it does make it seem like, okay, they probably tried it and failed, and that's why they are so sad and so defeatist, is because they have tried to do it and they still fail. But it's just one of these things that's really hard to like tell, because like from our perspective, it's like, okay, her ship crashing on the beach. It's like, well, if you saw the ship crash and you know where it crashed, then isn't it a simple thing of just never going to sea ever, right? You could just never go out to sea. Problem solved. You never take a boat and never buy a boat, then obviously that's not going to happen. You know? Because and you could beg the question of like, well, what's the predicted thing? Is it that you crash the boat, or is it that the boat crashes? So it could be that, yeah, even if you don't own the boat at the time, the boat will still crash into that same reef. Yeah, sure, that could be the case. But like, you have no real method of proving that. It's just all these weird things where it's just like, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I had a good run. I thought I would be able to finish it, but it's actually a little longer than I thought it would. I mean, I did also like waste a lot of time chatting about stuff. The concept of fates is interesting, and the concept of something that you can't change, even if you know what's going to happen, is interesting, and it's been like talked about in stories for a very, very long time. People who are able to predict something, but yet unable to change it. But it also could just be that, like my example with Verdofnir, right? It could be that Verdofnir was only able to predict the future once it became locked in stone, right? Basically, if he had seen the fall of Conria, and specifically how it fell, he might have known and might have been able to stop the king from getting corrupted by the Abyss, and may have been able to stop his friends from getting corrupted as well. Although maybe it's not possible, right? Maybe by the time the king got corrupted to the point of no return, that no matter how he was overthrown, the Abyss would rupture out of him and corrupt anyone who tried to stop it, and then use those corrupted people to then continue and still cause the fall of Conria, right? So, like, we have the 5 great sinners, but, like, even if you predicted it and realized, oh shit, so we can't stop him that way, let's try a different way, it could have just, like, changed the future to be 3 great sinners, because, at the time, like, the alternate method you tried only had 3 people there at the time of when the Abyss escaped and, screwed over stuff. So it's like, it's, so the broad stroke of Conria falling would have still been the same, even though technically the events that occurred were different, right? So it's all these like tiny like things where you can't tell, right? Because obviously you're not going to write and show, look at all the things you've tried. And there obviously have been stories that do demonstrate that. Groundhog Day is a very good example of that, where he basically tries he tries a bunch of shit, falls into despair, and then starts trying to improve himself, and eventually breaks the cycle by creating like the perfect solution, right? So you could argue that like in a Groundhog Day simile, or Groundhog Day metaphor, that if Verdofnir was able to do his life over and over and over again, he could eventually come and find a path that would have had the king stand down and had Conria not fall. But because he wasn't given full information, and he was only given information too late to affect any change, that that he wasn't able to do anything, right? Because if he's only getting glimpses of this future and that future, this and that, like, it could be that the information he's given is not detailed enough for him to come up with the best solution, the solution that actually resolves and changes fate. And so with the lack of information, he only can make a guess, and his guesses are just wrong, or just don't change fate, aren't enough to change fate, stuff like that. So it's like, it's one of these things you just can't ever really predict. Like, it is just amorphous. It's just up to how well it's written. Like, Groundhog Day shows that, and he took many times for him to actually succeed at doing and breaking out. So he took hundreds of thousands of tries to find that perfect set of choices that led him to escape the loop. So, and Verdofnir wasn't given that. He didn't see the thousands of futures and find the one that he needed to do. So, anyway. So I am going to call it, but I will be back on later today. I will be playing a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV to do my roulettes, my front rallying roulette, maybe a few crystalline conflicts. Hopefully this time I'll win. I'm playing crystalline conflict way too aggressively. I need to retreat more frequently, even if I have to get off the crystal, to make sure I'm staying with my buddies. I'm playing too aggressively and staying on the crystal even when it's just deadly. So I gotta stop that. But anyway, So, and then I'm pretty sure that Ark Knight's Enfield gets a new patch tonight. So I think it's already taken. Actually, no. I think its servers are going to go down in like 23 minutes, and then in 5 hours and 23 minutes from now, the server should come back up. Hopefully, 5 or 6 hours, and then I'll play that and try to get as far as I can, because there's new stuff, which means the factory must grow. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing tonight. Do a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV until the Enfield servers come online, and then play that. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.